Okay, you've got an extra unexpected meeting. Did you all wear your shoes for the first time?
Yes.
Was that all right?
Yes.
Were you upstairs? Did they sort of glide okay on the floor? Good, I'm pleased.
I'm worried to death. Are you sure you didn't say anything today before you come?
I think she's united.
Yeah, be careful that stone I gave you. No, it's not easy. It's not easy. Oh, no, yeah.
What stone did you get? Did you get a stone? It sounded like fast.
Oh, you didn't get one?
No.
Oh, where were you?
Yeah.
Quick, I don't fit it once to start. Just pick one.
I don't mind, I'm in no hurry.
Did you say we are strange? Then you belong to this group.
Thank you.
I heard that. You can have what colour is yours? You've been helping us so much. Oh, the spring.
What colour is yours?
It's green.
Green.
Better than yours.
Green is better than yours.
Yours is nice.
See, I told you.
Yes.
I can't find it.
I see.
It's run.
Lost it already.
No, I found it.
You go come and join us.
Violet, the highest colour.
Yeah, it's just the dizziness, which, you know, I get quite sick still.
You get sick.
She's going to puke.
Okay.
No, if you've got any advice, I know how that's supposed to be doing, but I didn't even hear.
You can just be sick if you want
You just be sick. You
Yeah,
be sick in the
don't
room.
worry about it.
So doing like movies and things like that. It's like,
What about pain?
No.
I was like shaking.
World too.
yeah, I
Couldn't
never.
hold it.
As you're being built up at the moment, so Helen will push you and push you,
We've noticed.
and your arms will get stronger and stronger. Then, when you finish, when you have your coming out macabre, your arm strength will be at its absolute maximum. I remember at my coming out macabre, I thought, what's all this fuss about the arms people complain about? It's so easy. But then if you don't practice regularly, when you start to lose it, then it starts to become difficult. So when you've got, it's like you reach match fitness, like a tennis player gets, or a footballer, and then you want to maintain yourself at match fitness. If in the first few months you say, I won't go to the macabre, I'll go down a pub tonight, then don't do that. Go to the macabre. Even if you're terrified of turning in the macabre, just get yourself up the stairs, bow in the door, and it's too late. But you'll still be alive. You'll still be alive at the end of it. And if you do that for several months, 6 months, and then you'll really have got through that initial hurdle. Now I'm going to tell you something now which is going to totally shock you.
Even more?
Yeah. In a year's time, only 4 of you will still be doing the macabre.
Why?
I believe that.
You're shocked. Because unless you listen to this tip, the one I've just said, which is don't stop turning in the macabre, because 4 of you, I'm going to write it in an envelope and pin it up there. It's not to be open until April 2014. I don't know which 4 it will be, but another 8 of you will be wishing you were in it. if only I'd listened. So that's really important, is doing the macables regularly, because as we only have one every 2 weeks, if you miss one, then you've suddenly got a whole month. And in the early stages, a month of not turning in a macabre, you'll be too frightened to do it. And that is such a common phenomenon. So if you don't listen to what's being said, then in a year's time, I would guess 4 of you will still be in the macabre, and another 10 of you will be hovering, doing practices and thinking, oh, I want to do it, but I can't do it. So that's the thing, is if you don't want to do it, when you've finished your training, if you think, I don't want to be Whirling Dervish, that's absolutely fine. Or if you finish it and think, macables aren't for me, I just want to go to the roomy group and practice, that again is absolutely fine. But if you want to be in the macabre, which is the crowning glory of the whole thing, be regular in the first 6 months to a year. I think in my first 25 years, I think I missed one Friday because I had to do something else. I did miss a few because I was ill and things, but actually because someone asked me to do something, I think there was only one I missed in 25. And then it becomes so natural, and then you'll always be nervous bowing into a room. Don't you agree, Helen? Yeah. But that's good, because when you're, like if you're a musician or an actor and you go on stage, it's very healthy to be a bit nervous beforehand, because then you surrender and you get out of the way and you just allow it to happen. So it's like that famous thing of feel the fear and do it anyway. You will be frightened, but bow in and surrender. Or in a year's time, 4 of you. Any questions on that? No. Some of you, your lives will take you away, because that's the nature of the cosmic drama. But others of you, your lives won't take you away. Or often you think your life is going to take you away, and then you do the training and suddenly something happens, and your previous pattern which you had been in often suddenly changes. So it's quite mysterious and unexpected. But anyway, if you're still here, and if you want to be in the macabre, just keep on bowing through that door. And there's a famous example of Carol, who was a turner from a few years back, and she's she's from southeast London, and she said in her first year, she said, it's murder, but I'm going to keep coming for a year, then I'm off. And she did her whole year, and by the time the end of the year came, she loved it so much she couldn't leave it. So be like Carol. Okay, today was going to be Dance of Shiva, and today will be Dance of Shiva. And here is Shiva, and this image is known as Shiva Natya Raja, and Natya means dance and Raja means king or lord, so it's Shiva as lord of the dance or king of the dance. And the image of the dancing Shiva is very old, not that image, that's quite a recent one, but the general image of the dancing Shiva. I'm told it predates Indian Hindu culture, and that it came into India with the Aryans, who were meant to have come into northern India from the direction of southern Russia and Persia. So it's a very ancient image. And it symbolises exactly the same thing as the macabre symbolises. And it even looks a bit similar if you put it up against the circle of the macabre. I just want to go back to this a minute. If you remember, I think I mentioned a few weeks ago about Purusha and Prakriti. and how Purusha is the name given to the great unmanifest. So underlying the whole of manifest creation is this great ocean of stillness. And in the Indian tradition that's known as Purush or Purusha. And then the great stillness manifests as a creation in time and space. And the manifestation is known as Prakriti. So you have Purusha and Prakriti. And it's also has lots of different names. It's also known as Shiva and Shakti. So Shiva is the great stillness, and Shakti is the manifestation. And Shakti is also known as Maya. So it's called Maya Shakti. So you've got the great stillness, and then the manifestation as Maya. And Maya sometimes is translated as illusion. So if you see yourself as separate, if you just identify with your mind-body as a separate vehicle, then you see the external world as separate, and you see it all as mechanical, and anything can happen, and it's a bit scary. And then that's Maya in terms of illusion. But if your identity is in your beingness, then you don't see a separate mechanical external universe. You see the whole visible universe as the display of the consciousness that you are. So there's no separation. And in that case, Maya means nature of the absolute. And Maya or Shakti is symbolically feminine, and Shiva or the Purusha is symbolically masculine. So in this case it's like you've got the masculine as active and the feminine as the whole manifestation. Now in the image of Shiva, Shiva is dancing, and this whole little course is called the philosophy of the cosmic dance. And this image is just another symbol of the perennial philosophy that underlies all the great traditions. I could take another image, say from the Buddhist tradition, the Kalachakra mandala, and give exactly the same explanation and the same symbolism. So it's like a universal teaching, and at different times and different cultures it's put into art and it's put into symbols in a way which is suitable for that particular culture. And because it's put into art, then it goes down through the years as a symbol, and it gives out its knowledge in just the same way. With books, people sort of retranslate books and alter it according to their understanding. So if you have a thing which goes down in its original form, and if you know how to read it, it will convey the knowledge that was intended. So all of this outer ring of flames, that represents Prakriti, so that represents the visible universe. And so that's exactly the same as a turning circle. You've got the outflow from one into many, and then the return to the source. So that's the symbolism of the outside of the manifestation in time and space. And then the dance of Shiva is said to be symbolic of 5 different activities. And the first activity is creation. So in the drama, in time and space, everything is a point when things become manifest. And in the Hindu Trinity they have Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. And Brahma is the creator. So everything comes into being. And then the next quality this image represents is preservation. And so Vishnu is the god who represents this preserving aspect. So it's like in time and space, everything has a beginning and a middle and an end. And so in the Trinity, then destruction is represented by Shiva in that context. So it's Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, representing these three qualities of manifest creation. So any activity you do, you sort of start it off, and there's a sort of middle bit, and then there's an end bit. And it's just the same in life. You're a baby, and so you're pretty helpless, and you sort of emerge into life gradually. And then there's this sort of bit where the dance all takes place in the middle, where you're very active. And then old age comes upon you, and you start to sort of run down, and you end up being a bit like a baby again. So it's like there's this continual dance going on, with a beginning bit, a middle bit, and an end bit. Then the fourth quality is known as veiling, and that's really the job of Maya, and it's the ability for the manifest universe to appear as other than it is. So, as we've previously explored, the whole point of the drama of creation is that the one mind, the one consciousness, manifests itself as all of us. But it can only be a drama and a play or a game if that dance happens in complete forgetfulness. So when we're forgetful of who we really are, then the dance goes on and we're all relating to other people who have forgotten who they really are. Once you know who you really are, then the dance ceases, really. That's the end of it. So veiling is a really important part of the drama, and it's exactly how it's meant to be for the purposes of the drama. And I gave that illustration at the beginning of the man playing backgammon, the absolute playing backgammon, and then he has to run around the other side of the board to make the move because there's only one of him. But he has to do it in forgetfulness of who he really is. And all of us are like that. All of us are the one mind playing the great drama of life. But because this veiling's happened, and the power of Maya, that makes us appear to think that we're separate. So that's veiling. And bless you. And then the fifth activity is known as salvation. Because at a certain point in the drama, what normally happens in this circle is you start to get fed up of the cycle of pleasure and pain. Because when you're separate, when life goes the way you think it ought to, then you're happy. And when it goes away you don't like, then you're unhappy. And this cycle goes on and on as part of the veiling. But then at a certain point you want to find something which is totally outside of that cycle. So that's the point of salvation, when the return journey starts back. So you're starting to re-acknowledge the great ocean. So those are the 5 functions. Any questions about them?
Could you just repeat that? Without as much detail as
Yeah.
5 in a row.
First one is creation, second one's preservation, third one's destruction, fourth one's veiling, fifth one is salvation. With destruction, I'll just go into one of them. Shiva has a consort known as Parvati, and Parvati has a wrathful manifestation known as Kali, and images of Kali are very frightening and terrible, and she has lots of severed heads hanging around her in a garland, and she drinks blood and has big teeth, and I've mentioned this before, but Kali comes from the word Kala, which means time. And again, Kali represents this. Because it's a creation in time and space, and because it has a beginning, middle and an end, that also means, by definition, that it's a universe of both beauty and terror. So things come into existence, things have their dance, and things then die away again. So part of when things die away, and that's really where the sort of terror comes in. So everything you love and everything you own and all your identities at some point are going to fall away. But one thing doesn't fall away, which is the good news. And the good news is the awareness you have of the changing beginning, middle and end never changes. So it's almost like your identity switches from the seen to the seer. So it's noticing that there's something which is looking out for your eyes, which never ever changes and always remains the same. So Maya, the veiling power, is really something that makes us see things as other than they actually are. So we see a multiplicity where in reality there's only a unity. Now somewhere I've got a nice picture of Shiva as well. There's another one of him dancing.
It's a he.
Shiva's a he.
She.
Shiva. And Shiva's wife is Parvati, who's a she. In Buddhism, Shiva becomes a Tibetan deity known as Mahakala. Maha means great, Kala means time. And Mahakala in Tibetan Buddhism carries some of the same ornaments that Shiva carries.
There are images of Shiva where he's half man and half woman.
I think I have seen them.
So he's I'm trying to think what he's known as in that manifestation.
I'm not sure what he's called there. You get images of.
I think he has got different forms of like image. Different. Yeah, sometimes he appears as half man, half woman.
Yeah.
Sometimes he appears as like a monster.
Yeah.
That's how I know.
You get images of Shiva as a corpse lying inert, and then Kali dancing on top of him. And that's again exactly a symbol of this. The inert corpse is the totally still stillness, and the dancing Kali on the corpse is the time dancing on top of it.
Why is he stepping on the chart? I don't.
I'll tell you that in a minute.
So what is that that symbol called with Shiva on the floor and then Kali?
I don't know what
Does it have a name or anything?
I don't know what the name for it is. The demon he's stepping on is known as Apasmara, which, quoting here, is the personification of the ignorance of the teaching, but all opposites are illusion. So he dances on the illusory knowledge of duality. So that represents duality, the illusory knowledge of dualism. And Shiva, when he dances in the burning ground. That's the place where they burn corpses. And that imagery is really exactly the same as the Macabre, where it's all about death and dying and funerals. So he dances in the burning ghat. In India they have big ghats by the rivers where they burn the bodies. So that's all about the burning of the sense of separation.
Is that why he's surrounded by the ring of flames?
That's why he has the ring of flames. That's the burning ghat, burning of the ego. And then he holds a drum which is a two-sided drum, which is known as a damaru. They have them both in India and Tibet. And that represents the tick-tack of time. So you sort of rotate the drum and they go tick-tack. That's a tick-tack of time. And it's a tick-tack of time that veils the knowledge of eternity. So when you're identified in this world of a drama, then that veils eternity. And eternity isn't a long time, eternity is no time at all. So eternity is like the eternal now. It's the beingness. And when you see things from that point of view of the beingness, then you're no longer caught up in time. Rather, time exists within you. But when you're here, then it feels like you're in time and you're at the mercy of time. Here, time is just something that exists within you. And the flame he holds in the other hand is the knowledge that burns through the tick-tack of time.
Can you explain a bit more when you say time is within you?
I'm just wondering how to put it. It's like when you're in your mind-body, then you're totally subject to time and space, and you're very much at its mercy. When you're in the beingness, it's like your total stillness and your total timelessness. And everything you experience, every sensation, every sense perception takes place in exactly the same place, which is within that presence that you are. So it's like all sounds take place there, all sensations take place there, and the experience of time also takes place there. So it's like you are timelessness in which time exists, if that makes sense. It's a matter of experience, it's not a matter of explanation, but my easiest route in is just to notice where everything actually happens, because logic and the consensus view tells me that I'm hearing the noise out there of a car. But if I actually observe it, that car noise is actually happening not out there, it's happening in exactly the same place as my thoughts are being heard. So it's a complete sort of turning around, and then you notice that time, from the point of view of who you are, it doesn't exist, but it appears to exist within that.
Is that like when you say time stands still?
Yeah.
And that happens in turning.
It does happen in turning. In turning, it's sometimes like it's just total stillness, and then you just notice it's all sort of, it is just happening. Now the nice bit, particularly nice bit, this bit. You take refuge, that foot there is held up like that, because that's what you take refuge under that. So that's like surrender. You surrender at a certain point in the great cosmic movie and in the turning ceremony, as we've mentioned, you notice that you can't get through it under your own separate power. As a separate ego, life's just too traumatic at times. So it brings you to the point of handing over to something much bigger. And in your life, when you do hand over, then it's almost like you stop getting in the way of the unfolding. It's like then your life unfolds in a way which is totally unexpected and totally magical. You've tried to make it go in a particular direction, you've tried to do this and that, and then you reach a point of surrendering, and that's symbolised by taking refuge under that foot. And this arm, once you've done that, that hand there is the gesture that really says everything's okay. Everything is absolutely fine. And in your lives, you may not know, but everything is absolutely fine and just how it should be. But that hand really represents the realization of that. Because in the great cosmic drama, you're being lovingly carried through this movie, and the movie is very well planned. At first in life, we have these ambitions, and often we fight against our fate and try and make it go in the way we think it should go. And then, after a while, you look back and you start to marvel at how it has unfolded and how one thing has led to another thing. And then you start to trust it, you trust the unfolding, and you trust the process, and you surrender to it. So that hand there symbolises just the fact that everything is fine, you're okay. I think that's probably my main points on the dance of Shiva. So it's quite a nice, compact little image, a nice little metaphor.
Could you say what the feet are again?
That foot there is the foot you take refuge underneath. So as a devotee, you can surrender and take refuge under the protection of that foot. How did I write it? Yeah, hand up means no fear. Hand down points. Hand down. Hand down points to the foot, points to the place where you're going to take your refuge. So that hand is pointing at the foot to a place of refuge.
Can you show hand up?
Hand up. And hand down. So I think that's about it for Shiva. It's just a really nice image. You can probably go into more and more detail in it. And the dance is known as a leela, which is also a play in the Indian language. So the whole of your life and everything, the whole of creation is a dance or a leela.
And he also stands on the left leg.
Right.
Yeah, he's on his right leg.
Right leg.
He's not like Dervish.
But is there not an actual dance based on this?
There will be dances based on it. Helen will know that.
Yeah, in the Indian tradition, yes. You have Shiva's dance is the Tandava dance, so it's very masculine, and then you have in Indian dance the Lasya, so that's Parvati and Saraswati, and they're Lasya, so it's much more feminine. But you do stand in postures, because Indian dance comes from temple sculpture, so you use the imagery of the sculpture and you have those in your dance postures.
Can you do some presentation?
Yeah.